It's fast, it's passionate, it's breathtaking. It's the motorcycling world as never seen before. From the inside. Our expert, Oscar Harrow, brings us closer to the heart of this exhilarating sport. He's a mechanic, technician, ex-rider and world champions manager.
Let's go.
Welcome to Inside Moto. The MotoGP world is like a big family. Some of these family members transmit real talent and sense of engines passed down from father to son. At Inside Moto, we have the privilege of having the legendary Wayne Gardner and Randy Mamola introduce us to their sons, future MotoGP stars Dakota Mamola and Remy Gardner.
Hey guys, come on.
Today, we'll meet this great family alongside Oscar Harrow. Randy Mamola and Wayne Gardner are two of the greatest motor legends. They dominated in the 80s when the sport gained the reputation it has today. They're the classic example of a less technical way of riding than the present, but more risky and spectacular. The 80s has been immortalized in the memory of every fan as the golden age of motorcycling. Wayne and Randy are, in a big way, responsible for the legendary aura that surrounds everything that happened on the tracks during those years. Now, their sons have taken over, and Oscar Harrow, who has shared training sessions and comradeship with them, meets the four of them today to show us that the legacy of legends continues on the tracks.
Today we are in Sitges in Spain. Incredible day with incredible rider. It's a legend rider in the 500.
Wayne Gardner was the first Australian to become world champion in the highest motorcycling category.
Long time no see.
Are you prepared something for your kids, no?
Well, that's what I've been working on. The kids like going motard riding locally in the circuit here.
Not only his successes, but also his courage on the tracks have made Wayne a legendary motorcycling figure. Today, he lives far from his country of origin to support his son Remy's professional career.
Walking. Is that okay?
Not bad.
Are you ready for today?
What are you going to do with bikes and stuff on the trailer?
Hola. This is the other legend rider. This incredible Randy Mamola.
Randy Mamola didn't win a world championship, but he's one of the riders with most podiums in history and possibly the most loved by the fans. Due to his sincerity, his audacious and reckless driving, his charm on and off the track. A legend built from honesty and passion.
It's great to be here. It's great to go out and watch the kids train together. So we'll have fun today. I think that anybody who has kids or who has lived through riding motorcycles when they were young know one thing always, that motorcycling is great. It's a good fun sport for family and kids enjoy.
Well, I'm back here in Spain because of my kids. I had a long career in motorcycles and then I stepped straight into car racing. And I had 10 years of car racing, 5 years in Australia and 5 years in Japan in GT sports cars. So I was kind of up to here with racing. You know, I was finished. I've been retired and running, I had 2 businesses in Australia, and I was happy to stay home in Australia with my mates, having a good time, and Australian lifestyle is fantastic. However, my kids had a taste for competition. They have an aptitude for and talent for motorcycles. These strange opportunities turned up. It was like it was kind of meant to happen, you know, especially with the invitation from Honda to come to race. All the things I have organised and a great lifestyle I had to say goodbye to, and I had to pack up and come here, as well as trying to raise the funds to support it over here without sponsorship, the racing program, you know. And over here, to race in Spain in the CV is 200,000 euros a year. It's massively expensive. And I've been supporting my sons with that.
Is Dakota don't follow your life? You continue in the USA, or you change your country also for the kids?
We were always invited by Carlos Gardner, the crazy Spaniard. And he always said, you have to come to Sitges, it's great. And you know, through the 90s, what basically started to happen is people realized that it's better to have a base somewhere in Europe. I was asked to come here to test and do some work for Kenny, also at the dirt track school. So at that time, Barbara and I, my wife, went back and forth to the States. But then, you know, knowing certain things that were changing in the World Championship, and Kenny being based and eventually building his own bikes, he moved to England. But essentially we stuck around here. The kids went to school here.
Randy Mamola never detached himself from the motor world. Therefore, the family's move to support his son's career hasn't been too traumatic. Fuel still runs through his veins, and Dakota has his same blood.
You know, sometimes you go on the bike, no?
Yes. I mean, I never left racing, really, because it's in my blood. And I was asked to do many things for different companies. So it's using my experiences to be a part still.
For Wayne and Randy, the most important thing is to create comradeship. And that's what they've passed on to their children. Remy and Dakota are friends that share training sessions and fun and rivals on the track. We follow them to the go-kart track, where we're witnesses of their friendly rivalry.
This is fantastic. We know the legend rider, and now we meet the kids.
People do expect us to have a higher talent or having things easier, but really we have to create our own talent. I think sometimes we need to learn ourselves, and sometimes it can be strong on certain things, just because they want us to do so well. But so it can be a positive and a negative.
For me, I don't really think about it too much. I just try to create my own path and just get on with my life. And no, it doesn't play any effect on my mind at all.
It's possible open one door. It's possible.
Open and close.
And close also, yes, because also the people think if you have the surname, you are 1 second faster.
Exactly. Or it's okay, he's okay for life, you know, but it's not like this.
Remy started practicing road racing on a local circuit in Australia because The problem is they couldn't race, they're too young, and our rules in Australia are completely different here than Spain. Honda contacted me, Honda Australia, and said, there's a World Cup race for NSF 100 at Albacete. The boss of Honda said, would you like to take your son there? And I said, but he's never raced before. And he said, well, it's up to you. Here's an opportunity. We pay for a ticket, 2 tickets, one for you and one for Remy. And you turn up and there's a bike there. And so I asked Remy and I just said, do you want to go and try this? And he goes, yeah, I really want to. I said, but you've never raced. You've never raced yet. And he goes, yeah, I still want to do it. And I went, so we talked about it as a family and then we went, well, let's treat it as a holiday. So we all came just to try, to see what happened. Yeah. He takes his helmet off and I'll never forget this. He goes, Dad, that is the most amazing thing I have ever done in my life, and I never, ever want it to stop.
This is your final.
That came from a 12-year-old boy, and I went, what? And my wife and I looked at each other and went, I couldn't believe.
A little refreshment before returning to the training session, and on with the fun.
And now finish the jog and start a nice and authentic race. Look the grid, come. Wayne Gardner, it's a Gardner Jr., Remy, Dakota Mamola, and Randy Mamola. This is so nice grid. Let's go to enjoy, guys.
A motorcycling day's icing on the top is a go-kart race in which fathers and sons put their professional careers to the test. Passion and fun. We're unique and exceptional witnesses of a historic race.
You know what's funny? It's not a competitive family, is it?
Good fun.
Well, I'm on slow equipment.
Oh, yeah. That's what they all say.
48? Okay, I know faster because I'm waiting you always for filming. Yeah. Come here. We do it a little podium. With the number 1, Randy Mamola. No, Dakota Mamola.
That sounds okay. It's okay. It's in the family.
He's getting old. Poor guy.
Second one is
The one with hair, that's the one without the hair.
Second one is Wayne Gardner. And
Third was
Sue, the father.
no.
Oh, because he's
I had the fastest time.
Okay, this is the podium, guys.
What
It's
matters is the face, huh? Is the fun.
The beautiful is the family week. You enjoy more when you are father and you look your kids, or you enjoy more when you was rider?
That's an easy one. When we're racing.
It's a really easy one, yeah. I prefer to be a rider because, and I guess I'm saying the same for Randy, is I worry so much for my children when they're on the track, and as a rider, you're out there, you're in control of what you're doing, am I correct?
Yes, for sure.
But here, you don't have control of what they're doing, so it's really nerve-wracking because it's a very dangerous sport and it's very fast and injuries do happen. So, yeah, like any protective father, we worry a lot, and I don't like watching, to be honest. And
This is the moment that you prefer to stay inside or outside.
this is what I don't like watching.
You have to go back to the day that you began riding as a kid. Me, 12, Wayne at 14. And when you're that young, the only thing you want to do is ride. So you have to put yourself in their position as well. For them, it's the same thing as when we were kids. The problem is we know both sides. The fantastic side of racing, the feeling of victories and things like that, or just being able to ride, and also injury.
Being somebody who knows and understands the sport, it makes me more nervous than the average parent that is naive or doesn't understand how dangerous the sport is.
Wayne and Randy, like any other parent, can't help avoiding fearing the sport's risks. They both suffered traumatic experiences on the tracks.
Today was my very first Grand Prix. That was at the Dutch Grand Prix in 1983. I had a Honda Britain bike over there, and it was my first try at it. It ended in tears. Obviously, it was a massive accident with Franco, and I got put into hospital, but luckily, at the end of the day, after 2 or 3 weeks of him being in a coma, he came out. But, you know, all is good at the end of the day between the two of us, and the accident, fortunately, nobody was hurt seriously. But what it did leave was a nasty scar in my mind about the danger of the sport.
They wish all the best for Remy and Dakota, and hopefully they won't have to deal with these experiences.
It's extremely dangerous, and I keep saying to them, boys, you've got to ride and have fun, but you've got to ride safe. But at the end of the day, you've got to enjoy what you're doing. So safety is still a priority in this sport.
You have to let the kids grow. You know, there are people when you look at sports and you think, well, they belong or they don't belong. Both Remy and Dakota belong where they are on motorcycles. They're very talented young kids. Again, they grew up with the sport.
Tell me a historic moment you remember about your career.
Look, without a doubt, I think to win the very first Grand Prix in Australia at Phillip Island back in 1989 was a tremendous memory for me.
The era that we raced in was fantastic, the 80s, when with Barry Sheen, Kenny Roberts, Wayne Gardner, Rainey, Schwantz. It was something very special. Also, the motorcycles that we rode back then were something very special. They were, you know, the tire situation, everything about it. It was just a great era. Not to say that it's better than the era that's going on now, because each evolution becomes different.
Overall, they're left with the fun and great moments, and able to star in and enjoy alongside family members. Friendship and a positive attitude towards life will always remain over everything else.
I have one image here we saw after the maybe it's in Brazilian Grand Prix when you make a party in the afternoon and you have the famous image with the underwear. For my position, I saw the riders is too much professional and don't enjoy same to 20 years ago. No?
The way I saw it was in Brazil there were a lot of beautiful girls in G-strings for all the guys. And I thought it would be kind of nice for the guy to put the G-string on for the girls. And it worked out for both. I think everybody enjoyed it and we had a good time.
And he was Mr. Brazil.
Yeah, there you go. The feeling in the paddock in the 80s and so on were a lot different. You know, a lot of times we drove our own motorhomes to go from race to race. When you're away from home, so far away, you know what you're over here for. And usually we were training, cycling, or doing running or something, but also having a good time. But I think that we had an advantage on that. And a lot of times not being able to read the press was always a good thing.
Wayne's support for his son can be observed with the work he has done, so Remy can train at home. Champion's blood runs through Remy Gardner's veins, but he also has the fortune of having a great champion at home to help and advise him.
He designed it and made that himself. He's been making things since he's 11 years old, like chairs and tables.
Really?
In wood and so on. He started working with wood, and then about 3 years ago, when they came up here, he decided to start working with steel, and then he wanted to build his own skateboard ramp.
Alongside the many tools and gadgets Remy creates at his workshop, there's one made for an exciting sport: wakeboarding. This water sport mixes training and fun. After lunch, Remy and Dakota will be practicing this sport that helps them improve their balance, which is essential when racing on a motorbike. Wayne and Randy take good care of their sons and future champions, so that they can enjoy the same sensations and feel loved and cared for, whilst learning to love and care for others.
Tell me two things that you can say to your kids for prepare for the World Championship. What do you say?
Well, I've told Remy, you know, mate, it's a long year. It's your first year, his rookie's year. You need to go out and learn all the circuits you don't know, learn how to travel, learn to work with the other riders and race with them. Of course, go hard, do your best, but and ride to the limit. But don't take big chances, because you don't want to have accidents, you don't want to get hurt, and you need to sustain the momentum during the year. This is all about gaining experience in the first year, you know. And I'm reflecting from when I raced World GPs, so it doesn't change. The same philosophy applies.
Dakota and Remy listen carefully to their parents' advice, but they can't help avoiding seeing themselves reflected in their successes and, most importantly, wanting to replicate them. But they're not in a hurry. They have a great future ahead of them.
My dream, yeah, to be world champion. Just in every class, obviously, but it's definitely difficult, but I'll keep working until that happens or doesn't happen, you know. I'm just happy to be in the World Championship racing and seeing him every weekend and training and just doing what I love and having fun, you know. But
at the moment, my dream would be to have a team. You know, it's difficult not having a team and seeing especially riders that you have raced against, beat everything racing just because their families are wealthy or they have a good sponsor helping them or whatever. So this is hard as a rider, but I think that it's not the end of the road. I don't think we should be sad or bring ourselves down. I think it should be opposite. I train every day, just in case anything shows up. My future is racing, obviously. So I push Remy a lot, and Remy pushes me, which is good, I think, for each other.
For sure.
And most importantly, I think, is the word having fun. I think if you're not having fun, you shouldn't even be doing it. I think Oscar should do a couple laps on the 85.
Yeah.
I think we cannot leave this place.
Okay, I can try with the two bikes together, with your bike and your bike.
Yeah.
We've enjoyed a wonderful day in the company of two generations of champions. We've relived the moments that made motorcycling big. We've understood the dreams of success of those who debut on the tracks. And most importantly, we've learnt that all aspiring champions of this sport must have two essential qualities: passion and the will to have fun.
Thank you guys for an amazing day. For me, it's a big pleasure to stay before with the legend, after for the future of the motorcycle.
Muchas gracias, amigo.
Chicos, Oscar, see you
Next week.
next week. Follow us in
Inside Moto.
Inside Moto.
Inside Moto.
Inside Moto.
Okay, guys.
But the fun doesn't finish now.
Yeah.